Hello and welcome to this interview from Bystanders No More. Today I'm speaking with Anthony Aguilar, a retired lieutenant colonel from the American Special Forces and a former contractor who worked with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. He has been vocal about how it played a role in manufacturing famine during the genocide in Gaza. Anthony's decision to blow the whistle is a textbook example of courage and humanity. His story is about consent and about why silence is no longer an option. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
You were in Gaza for 90 days contract. When was the moment you realized you could no longer stay silent? What did you see or experience that made you step across that line?
Well, I had originally signed a contract for 90 days. I only served about 46 days of that contract when it became clear to me that the United States program through GHF under the Israeli forces was taking orders from the IDF, and that we were doing what the IDF told us to do, and that we were doing it in a way that was immoral and unethical in terms of the limited food, the giving no water, having distribution sites in areas where there's active offensive combat operations, that indiscriminate use of force, shooting at civilians, harming civilians, putting civilians in danger. And once I realized that this is not something that's going to be fixed or addressed, that I couldn't be a part of it anymore. And I made many, many recommendations to the leadership to include specific recommendations on the sites in terms of how to modify the sites, how to change the process, how to increase security while also increasing safety for the civilians. And those recommendations and the assessments that I provided were wholly ignored. The way everything was set up and the way it was operating was designed to operate and was intentional. I couldn't be a part of that once it was clear to me that what we were doing was complicit in the furtherance of this genocide.
What was it like to carry this knowledge day after day, working inside, sitting in meetings, knowing what was happening?
It was excruciating. It was morally and mentally draining. It was physically difficult. There were long, long, long days. So many people that are in pain and in suffering, and you want to do all you can to try to, to help. And I've been in areas all over the world, war torn, in war, recovering from war. I didn't think I'd ever see anything to that degree of inhumanity, force and violence used upon a people with really having no military or political goal to achieve, just destruction, constant bombardment, and the displacement of civilians. I'd never witnessed anything that bad in my entire military career.
How do you see the role of military members from your professional point of view?
There were individuals, there were other contractors that shared a very conscionable objection, as I did. There were some that were exclusively hired and recruited from an organization called the Infidels Motorcycle Club here in the United States. Their charter as an organization is to fight worldwide jihad and to eliminate Muslims from the earth. This was the organization that GHF picked to provide aid in Gaza. So you had some individuals that had a mindset of this was a pilgrimage for them, a modern day crusade to kill Arabs, to harm Muslims. And then you had others that were simply there for the money. It was just about a paycheck. What I saw from the IDF was a force that was not well disciplined, not well trained, not operating or understanding tactics and laws of armed conflict and Geneva Convention. And there are Israeli IDF soldiers that have and share that perception amongst themselves that the Palestinians aren't human. They don't deserve to live. The IDF is not the most moral army in the world. The IDF is not even the most moral army in Israel.
How do you see the role of police forces, for example, in the Western countries, where we see violent crackdowns on pro-Palestine demonstrators?
Israel has the West held hostage. It's almost as if the world is afraid to intervene and stop Israel from what they're doing. Israel yields some kind of influential power or manipulation, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's money. I don't know if it's blackmail. I don't know if it's because Israel gives us presence in the Middle East. They can't break away from the Israeli lobby to speak out against the genocide. If United Nations has invoked that there is a genocide, the declaration of genocide then obligates member nations of the United Nations to intervene and do something. The West, America, the world, we're standing by and watching. It is absolutely disgusting. It is evil. This is a moral stain on humanity. If we don't put a stop to the genocide and put a stop to the indiscriminate killing and the starvation right now, today, there won't be a Palestinian state to recognize because there will be no one left.
Anthony, since speaking out, what has been the hardest day for you?
In fighting in war, I've been wounded. I've been shot, mental distress, if you will, PTSD. And what the hardest part for me in my experience in Gaza is the moral injury. In being there and thinking that I was going to do good and that I was going to help and that I was going to actually relieve the suffering, to then realize that I was a part of the implementation of that suffering, is something it's very hard to reconcile and to grasp and to speak out about it. I wish I were courageous. I wish I was brave. I'm not. I'm simply telling the truth and giving voice to a people that have been ignored and don't have a voice because the world has turned its back on them. And knowing that the United States is not only a bystander, but complicit, actively involved in it, is a moral injury that I don't know if I will ever recover from.
What keeps you moving now?
I don't have a choice. The only choice I have is to say nothing and do nothing, or not be able to look at myself in the mirror for the rest of my life. And Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and others want to try to smear my character or attack my character. No matter what that pressure becomes, I still have to speak the truth. I still have to spread the truth to anybody that will listen.
For someone watching this who feels horrified but still powerless, what is one thing they can do tomorrow, in your opinion, that would actually matter?
Tomorrow is too late. That's the mindset people need to have. Tomorrow is too late. Today. Now. World leaders have an obligation to say the words. This is a genocide by design. And in the coming days and weeks, when we all bear witness to every last inch of Gaza being destroyed and wiped off the earth, and every human being that survives this war is concentrated into a 2.7-kilometer encampment in the south, and we watch the suffering and the dying of disease and famine, we are allowing it to happen. Get up there and say that there is a genocide, and we as a world have a duty and an obligation to end it, and we will. That's what world leaders need to do, and that costs nothing.
What about the normal people?
Everybody has a voice. If you have a podcast or you have some type of social media, protest, petition your government, make your voices heard, call your representative, write letters, make it known to your leaders that we as humanity will not stand by and allow our leaders to ignore a whole-scale genocide. If our leaders won't do anything about it, then we need to demand that they do something about it.
What is something you wish people knew more about?
You know what I wish to share more on and for people to understand is that Palestinians are people, human beings, wonderful people, just like any American or any German or any European or anyone else in the world. They want to raise their children, live life. That's not asking a lot. And when you see the will, the courage, the strength, the hope, and they continue to hang on despite immeasurable opposition against their ability to even live. They're on their own. And yet every day they wake up and they hope for better. That's what people should know and people should see of the Palestinian people, not this dehumanized characterization that the West or that Israel puts on people. They don't have a state. They're not a recognized people. It doesn't matter. It does matter because they are people and they are human beings. From my perspective, I could care less if at the end of this I die poor, living under a bridge in a box. Because one day when my son is older, I can look him in the face and say, I tried.
Anthony, thank you so much for sharing your personal and professional story with us.
Thank you.
At Bystanders No More, we believe that caring is not enough. Actions matters. If you have been moved by this conversation, I invite you to visit our website. There you will find ideas and resources for different ways to get involved wherever you are in ways that fit your skills and your life. Every action makes a difference, and as Anthony just said, no voice is too small.